did you meet Barry?
Well, I met Barry about 3 years ago. He called me and had just seen my name come up and asked me out for coffee. And we met at the Foxtail there on Orange Ave. That was the original, and it was kind of cool and hip and new. And we started talking, and he told me about, you know, we both had former careers before we got into what we were doing now, and I just loved his attitude about customer service. And you know, I definitely could tell by the way he talked that he always put his customers, and that whether that be agents or buyers, you know, first. And I said, definitely, let's do some business. Took a little while because we're mostly on the list side, but first time we had someone, they had a great experience, and we've been doing it again ever since.
Kim had coffee with Barry and then said, I know we get calls all the time from mortgage people, but let's go ahead and do this at Dubstred and meet with him. So we did. We got together with his team and him as well, and he shared with what he does. And it did take a while in our first experience. The way he communicates, the way he gives us updates, he calls our builders, he calls our sellers, he calls the buyers, he calls everybody. So everybody's in the loop. We never have to wonder how things are going and make the phone call ourselves to ask questions, and we don't get surprised. So we get it done quick.
What makes them unique?
It's the update. You get an update every week, same time, no ifs, ands, or buts. Even if nothing's happened, you know what's going on. And it's just one more thing you can take off your to-do list is chase down the lender. And that just gives you a lot of peace of mind. It gives you extra time to go do things that make you money and new clients.
They've also added, because we started sharing so much business with them and we have a lot of new construction clients, they are giving us a lender credit so that we can try to get the buyer, so we have a little more control of the process, because the lender is, unfortunately, there's some great lenders out there, but there's a lot that aren't, and you know, I guess with any profession. So, you know, getting us all through that whole path, even if they choose to go with their other lender, and because their other lender gives them the lender credit or whatever, we now have a basis of going, this is a good qualified client. They already talked to him, he said, you should be good, or you need to worry about this, pay attention to this time frame, if they don't get the deal.
And I think it's the fact that, you know, there are a lot of great mortgage officers out there. I meet a lot of great loan officers. They're obviously, they're personable, they're go-getters, but there's a disconnect between their team's functions. The team doesn't function at the same level that the LO does. And that's one thing about every member of Barry's team is completely 100% transparent, on top of things. We've got a transaction going on right now where the buyer has been less than forthcoming with the documents and everything, not trying to hide anything, just not getting things in. And they very kindly but very persistently, 2 or 3 times a day, and they've started CCing me. And I was just surprised at how all of a sudden he got everything in. And I think that just, and nothing, they weren't unkind, and they didn't try to throw him under the bus and say, well, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. They're just like, hey, what can we do to help you get this in? And, you know, then they came to me and said, hey, you need to help us get this in. So very much a team thing, a team transaction. I feel like I'm always a part of their team and they're a part of mine, and that's very rare in this industry. It's always almost a little adversarial, like if your client's not doing what they're supposed to do, somehow it's your fault.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey, we're going to get this done. Let's all gang up on him together.
Make them perform.
Well, I did my personal home loan with Barry a little under 2 years ago, and I had a little bit of an unusual situation. You know, self-employed like most of us in this industry are, and it was recently out of marriage, so he handled it like beautifully. It was 22 days. Contract to close, and you know, fairly complicated, with a lot of documentation, and his team was like the whole time they're like, nope, we got this, you're great. And you know, I had, just like every other buyer, had some fear, like, oh, maybe I won't qualify, maybe I don't have enough tax records on my own, and they're like, nope, we got this.
Write-offs.
It was a great process, and I felt the whole time, I felt like I was in great hands.